Thank you so much for tuning in to Mom Jeans, trying to fit into motherhood.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back. Episode number 29 of Mom Jeans. I'm Leah, IVF boy mom.
I'm Danielle. I'm a stay-at-home mom, boy mom, and a military spouse.
And I am Lisa, girl mom of 2 girls.
So if you joined us last week, you learned that we kind of switched up our format a little bit, and we are now kind of talking about more of the things that can be relatable to all of us as parents and as moms. And so this week, Lisa is bringing a surprise thread from Reddit. Danielle and I do not know what we're going to be talking about tonight, so this is live on the air. Lisa, what you got?
Okay, so I actually was on Reddit for a very long time, and I came up with 3 different ones that I thought would be decent to talk about. So I'm going to give you guys the option. There are 3 options, just pick one of them. So I'm going to just title them. So either 1 is name regret, 2 equal sleep expectations, and 3 shaming kids. Which of the 3 would you like us to go through tonight?
Shaming kids.
3 shaming kids. Okay. All right. So let me read this Reddit. It's going to be a little bit wordy for a little bit, but it's not that long. So hang tight. Okay. So the title of this post, thread was, I shamed my kindergartner and I feel awful about it. She's having accidents. Nothing wrong with her. She tells me every time she tries to hold it as long as she can because she doesn't want to stop the activity and miss something. She's having FOMO. I've tried positive reinforcement. I've spoken to her about real life consequences, i.e., if you keep going in your pants, maybe you're not ready for kindergarten. I'm so frustrated. I snapped today. She pooped in her undies at school, didn't want to leave music class and miss something, and then pooped in the bathtub with her brother. I went off. I asked her if she didn't want anyone to play with her because she'll be the stinky poop kid with poop in her pants when all the other kids use the toilet. I apologized. I told her that was wrong of me to say, that she's a wonderful, kind friend, and that's why people like to play with her. But I'm afraid the damage is done. What are the odds I've scarred her for life? I'm so tired. I'm a single mom. Their dad died 1.5 years ago. I hate doing this alone. I'm messing up and ruining their childhood. I don't know what I'm doing wrong and why my brilliantly smart 5-year-old just won't get to stop holding it and go to the toilet. I'm failing.
Mic drop.
That's sad.
Yeah,
the end was sad.
It is sad.
Yeah.
On a lot of different levels for the kid and for the mom, right? Like,
right. I'll tell you that the responses were very positive. Like, they were very supportive of her. Like, hey, you snapped and you make mistakes and you're going to say things you don't mean. And it's okay that you said it. But do you guys feel like you've ever been in a situation where you've said something and you're like, no, walk it back, walk it back, walk it back?
All the time.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
All the time. I wish that I could. I'm the worst at thinking before I speak. I'm the worst at that. So I word vomit all the time.
Yeah, I don't snap often. I mean, I say things without thinking for sure, and say things I'd like to take back, but like to the degree of where I feel like I snap, it doesn't happen often. It's happened on 2 occasions that I can think of off the top of my head since Wes has been born, and it made me feel awful. I just felt so bad about myself, and I felt so bad for him because I got frustrated at one point and he was pulling my hair and I just kind of moved and quickly and probably a little bit more aggressively, and he fell over and he started crying, and I just then started sobbing on the floor like, oh, I empathize with that mom, because it's like you get to that point and it's so hard, and then it's so hard to see how it impacts your kid. And I think at 5, it may or may not be a formidable memory. I don't know. That's kind of on that cusp of that age, and hopefully it doesn't become one for that girl, but that's tough.
I think that's the hard part. I think you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna say things. You're gonna snap in the moment. Like this podcast I was telling you guys about that I've been listening to, he was like, the only time that you should walk away from your child is because you need to go and regroup, because it's not going to end well if you stay there in that moment. So you're really upset and you're going to lose it, right? So you need to walk away, tell them, you know what, I'll be back in a minute. I just need to regroup and I need to calm down and figure out how I'm going to discuss this, and then I'm going to come back. But he says, there are certainly times that you're in situations where it's not safe for you to walk away from them, right? And you're going to lose it and you're not going to be perfect. And I remember Leeah and Danielle in one of the episodes we were talking about, like, I can't remember what the age is, but they're like, you have 2 to 3 years to get your stuff figured out before they start to really remember the stuff that you're saying. So we have hit that point where Hannah has started to remember things from like days past. And we're like, oh no, like we have to be really careful of that. Like Brandon, like I just sent him something on Instagram that was like, don't ever lie to your kids, because when you say like, the guy in the podcast was like, so we've been trying to get my daughter a flu shot, and we told her, well, we can't go to the beach on our vacation if you don't get your flu shot. He's like, and then sure enough, she didn't get her flu shot, and then we drove right to the beach. Like that does not doesn't teach her good things. Like you just have to be so like understanding and forgiving to yourself, but also you can feel bad. Like I've been in a few situations with Hannah where I've been like, man, that was the wrong way to handle that, and I feel awful that I did that. But I'm going to try to take the positive off of it and say, you know what? I learned from it. And it'll be, at least this time, it'll probably be 3 weeks before I snap again instead of a week, because I feel so guilty for 3 weeks before I can snap again. It's like, it's really hard. Like I feel for that mom. And again, like her being a single parent, like, no, thank you. Like, I can't even imagine that. That would be, you have to be on all the time. And that is so challenging. So, gosh, but I can remember my mom saying something to me, but I think I was in middle school when she's like, why do you wear 2 shirts? Do you think you're a boy? Because no boys are ever going to want to go out with you if you always dress like that. And I can vividly remember where I was and what I was wearing when she said that to me. But again, I think I was like 10, and you're like, oh man. And I know she regretted saying that so badly, but it's something that sticks with me. And so I would imagine, at 5, like, gosh, it breaks my heart for both of them. I feel so bad for both of them because I feel so bad for her wanting to like take it all back, but also for the little girl, like, oh, I feel so bad you had to feel bad about yourself, but like, you're human. It's so hard.
Well, yeah. We were talking about all of those regressions, right? And if this girl just lost her dad like a year ago, like talk about a huge change in her life, and then maybe the psychological impact, which could potentially be causing like some of these regressions. Like, you don't know, right? There's so much, it's such a layered situation, but it's like, yeah, that's, oof.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Like being a teacher and you saying that, like that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I would even see changes in children if their parent was deployed. Because I taught at an elementary school with mostly military members, children. And so, yeah, like even if they're not around, regressions happen or attitudes or like this, their personality changes because they're not used to having that other parent gone. So that makes total sense what you're saying. Like, so, and I knew a few kindergartners that weren't fully, not potty trained, but had a hard time getting to the bathroom before they peed or pooped themselves. So
Yeah.
it happens too in kindergarten, unfortunately. Not too often, but you do see students that sometimes they struggle.
I think it's tough, like having gone through potty training for the last what feels like 6 years, and my daughter's 2.5. Like it is like, I know you're capable of this. I know you're capable of going to the bathroom in the bathroom, but that's the frustrating part, and you just don't understand, and you don't understand their brains, right? And like that's why I started listening to this podcast, because I was like, I wonder if he's going to explain a little bit more about their brains and like why they do the things they do, and the things, and I, one of the Instagrams that we were watching, that is a tell that they need something from you, like something's going on deeper than they're having accidents, like they need your help some way or another, and you need to get to the root cause of it to help that go on, or move on from that. But that's potty training, man. It's tough. Like I kept seeing the one Instagram, and they were like advertising for potty training in 3 days, and I was like, I mean, that's amazing. If you can get your kid to potty train in 3 days, like I that's awesome. Good for you. But that's not how it's gone for us. But like I said, I think we started too early, and that is not what the point of this story is. But
how old were you when you started? How old was Hannah when you started with Hannah? Not how old were you?
Thank you for asking. I was 16. So we did it because Montessori started it, and they wanted us to support them in that. And she started Montessori when she was 16 months old. So we started at 16 months, and we just now are at the point, like probably a month ago, where it was like very August is when it started. Yeah. So almost 2 months ago, that she started to really get motivated to want to do it so she could move up to the next class where all of her friends went. And she still has accidents, but it's not nearly like, it's awesome. Like she comes home every day and she's like, I didn't potty in my pants. And like, she's so proud of herself. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, that's so awesome. I'm so proud of you being proud of yourself, because you're not supposed to say you're proud of them anymore. So
hot take, that millennial parenting video we could talk
that was
about.
Amazing. I have like different groups of parenting friends, and I got it sent to me from every single parenting group because it's so true. Like, you can't say you're proud of them anymore. You can't say you're in a hurry. Like that mom was so
say,
funny.
be careful.
What am I supposed to say? Don't say be careful.
What's your plan here? I don't know. I don't have a plan. Do you have a plan? I clearly watched it more than once.
I had to. I watched it. I think I watched it every time it got sent to me, and I just laughed every time, because I was like, this is what I feel like telling Brandon. Like I tell Brandon all the time, don't say be careful. And he's like, so he'll be like, what am I supposed to say? Like he looks at me all the time of like, what am I supposed to do here? I'm like, don't say you're proud of her. And he's like, what am I supposed to say? I'm like, you're so proud of yourself. He's like,
right. Or even
here.
Good job. Like Ryan's like, what am I supposed to say? like, oh, I love how hard you worked. I love the effort you put into clipping those buckles.
Yep. There was a person that wrote in
the worst millennial parent of all time. I'll just throw that out there. Based
so
off
hard,
of that.
man. I let that podcast. They were talking. A person wrote in, and they had a 3-year-old daughter, and whenever she would have like a breakdown, she'd be like, "What's happening? Like, tell me what's wrong. Tell me why this is happening." And he's like, "Stop asking her that. She's 3 years old. 13-year-olds can't even explain to you their feelings. That a 3-year-old is definitely not going to." And she's like, because his big thing is don't be a like a, what do they call that? What's the word I'm trying to say? Like a militant like parent, right? Like don't be too strict, but don't be too passive either. Like there's a happy medium, because those are the two types of kids that he sees in counseling the most, are the parents who let them do anything that they want and don't have any boundaries, and then the kids that can't do anything because they're told all the time. And he's like, you live in the middle somewhere. And it's really nice because his kids are about the same age as my kids, and he's like, listen, I know what I'm supposed to do, but I don't do those things with my own kids. Like I try so hard, but they test your boundaries, you know? So you're counseling these parents with expectations of like they're going to mess up and they're not going to do perfect things, but I'm trying to give them tools that in the moment, the heat of the moment when they're really upset, that they're not doing the extremes one way or the other. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, we've said it a bunch, like this poor mom, I feel so bad for her because sometimes things just happen. You had a bad day or you didn't get enough sleep and you just snap. You just think words come out.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And
you brought up a good point about like drill sergeant parent versus very passive parent. And I've said this in the past, but the book that I read, The Raising Mentally Strong Kids, it's by Daniel G. Amen and Charles Fay. I really feel like that's a really good book. I haven't listened to the podcast. You'll have to send me the podcast you're listening to. But
yeah,
what you're saying is very similar to like the book and like in how the brain works. So very interesting. Good read if anyone wants to find that happy medium, for sure. But yeah, it's wild. But I would just tell this mother that, you know, it's okay. Give yourself grace and, you know, learn from it. And it's just hard. It's hard. I always think, okay, what can I do better next time? How can I react? Like, and there are times I do walk away. Ryan's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I need to walk away and just regroup because I was about to have a reaction and I don't even know. And usually those reactions are happening like something probably from my childhood, you know, like that was triggered. Like I used to get in trouble for this specific thing. And now my child's doing it. But I don't want to have the same reaction like my parents did. So I just trying to rewrite the script, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I do those reflection moments afterwards, right? Like, okay, what could I have done better here? Like, how could I have done this? And then the moments occur again and all of that goes out the window. Yeah. So it's definitely, I have a much slower learning curve, I think, in that. And it takes me a couple times to really feel like dog shit before I can actually catch myself in the moment before reacting next time.
It's like it's an ongoing learning. It's a constant learning. Like I told you guys the other day, I like got up and I was like doing all of these things and I was like, how am I old enough to have kids right now? Like who am I? Like this is wild to me that nobody really prepares you for this. I mean, I guess your whole life is preparing for it, but like nobody prepares you that your toddler's going to just freak out on you because the cutting board isn't the right size. Like I just, you know, like it's wild. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm so sorry. I thought this is the one you wanted. You told me you wanted this one.
And that's what I think just makes it even so much more hard, right? Is because sometimes those can literally be the moments that set us over the top. Like,
yep.
I gave you the apple that was on the cutting board or on your plate and not on the cutting board. I'm so sorry, but now we are in a 45-minute temper tantrum.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Well, and that's I was listening to that podcast today and he was like, so just remember that it's not about the apple. It's about losing control. They don't have the control that they want and they want the control. And it's, yeah, they're going to test you and they want the control. And I'm like, oh boy, okay, let's figure this one out.
Yeah, today it was Weston's liking to buckle things. And so he wants to buckle the top strap of his car seat buckle. But I was in a hurry. And he knew it because he would slide it in and he'd be like, no. And then he would do it again. And then he'd go, no. I'm like, listen, we got to hook it. We got to clip it. We got to go. And then finally, when I ended up doing it, of course, he got upset because he was testing me. That boy, he tests me every day.
That face and that no is just like so loud. So loud. You're just like, oh, I don't know. I can't do it.
Yeah. Well, since my mother-in-law was here, he picked up no, 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 no. That's what he does now. Because she would do that. Like,
That's adorable.
it's so cute. I'm like, oh my gosh. Now I'm getting like quadruple no's.
Oh my goodness.
Well, and the mimicking stage is real right now.
Oh
I
yeah.
went like earlier tonight, and all of a sudden, Weston's eating his dinner, and he's like, and I'm like, did you just mock me? And Steven's like, he did. He sure did.
Oh
That's
my
it's
goodness.
funny. But now we have to really watch what we're saying, or like, yeah.
Yeah, a 30-pound tape recorder with us everywhere we go.
It's like, that's like what we were saying. Like, you have to be so careful if you're going to lie to them, or you're going to, you know, like, oh, no, the park's closed today. And then Cece's walking to the park, and I'm like, oh boy, that's not going to work out well. So, you know, it's hard. It's hard. The don't rush them. Cause I think I told you I read a poem once that was like, you know, mommy, why are you always rushing me? And I like, that was like 10 years before I had kids, and it still sticks with me. And I'm like, oh, that breaks my heart for her. But I get it. It's like, get in the car. Get in the car. I drive car. No, you're not driving the car. Get in your seat. And it drives you nuts. Come on.
The full-on football loaf of bread carry to the car.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that goes over well, doesn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's great.
Weston does the slinky where he just puts his arms straight up.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm going to pop his arms out of socket because I'm like sliding up. I don't know.
Yep.
Oh,
Kids, man.
all,
Gotta
I mean,
love 'em.
we wouldn't have as many laughs without them. That's for sure.
That's true.
that is 100% facts.
Yep.
So
Yeah, who needs entertainment when you have toddlers?
Yep.
it's always something, that's for sure.
Yep.
But, well, I think we empathize with that mom, right? That was a tough situation to be in. She's got a lot going on. Her kid's got a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's parenting, and you got to forgive yourself. You got to show yourself some grace, and like you said, Lisa, like take the positive from it and learn from it and grow from it if you can.
And I always say, and I know this isn't helpful when I tell people this because I don't like it when I get it back at me, but there's nothing you can do to take it back now.
Yeah.
You know, like all you can do is apologize and work hard on yourself to not do it again. It's not, you can't take it back, unfortunately, you know.
There was a quote that I heard one time that was something like, investing your time in the past is robbing you from your present.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
It's like, yeah, that's true. Try not to dwell or spend too much time in that.
Yep.
Or the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Those are some suckers.
For sure.
Well, this week, as we approach Halloween, we wanted to ask all of you listeners to weigh in. Are you pro or for or against themed family costumes? And or do you do candy for your kids? So weigh in. We'll put up a poll on our Instagram. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Share your feedback with us as always. You can find us on Instagram. Email us at hello@momjeanspodcast.com. And we look forward to seeing you on our next episode.
And that wraps up another episode of Mom Jeans, trying to fit into motherhood. Thank you again so much for listening to us. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider giving us 5 stars so other mothers out there like you can find us and listen. If you would like, you could follow us on any of our socials at Mom Jeans the podcast. If you have questions, would like to send us your birth story, or give us suggestions or things that you would like to hear, please email us at hello@momjeansthepodcast.com. See you next week.